one of the first concerns that people have about a homemade soap is it going to lather? And we get asked this pretty frequently at our craft show table. Is this soap going to lather? And at first blush, that feels like they're being critical of our product, and that doesn't seem fair because they haven't even tried it yet. But I know that behind that is a disappointment of some type. They purchased a soap somewhere that they thought looked great, and when they got it home, it just didn't do what they wanted it to do. It didn't behave like they thought it would. It didn't lather like they expected. So I know that there's some kind of disappointment back there that causes them to now have to ask the question of every soap vendor, is this going to lather? This question is also for soap makers as well, because, and it's even kind of amplified in that arena, because we don't want to make a soap that anyone is going to look at later and go, well, yeah, it just didn't quite lather like I wanted it to. So we want to make sure that our product is going to meet customers' expectations. How do we do that? How do we guarantee that our soaps are going to lather? Because the last thing you want to do is to give or sell a bar of soap where the feedback is, well, this just didn't lather like I wanted it to. They're right. Soap should lather. And I know that you want that. Your customers want that. How do we guarantee that that is going to be a reality? So grab a pen and paper, grab a cozy beverage, and let's chat about lather in soap making. Hey, bud. Hi. So what creates lather in soap making? Soap making, if you recall, is the reaction between oils or fats and lye, and these two things coming together to make a pure natural soap. But where does the lather come in? How do you know whether this bar of soap is going to produce a good amount of lather or not? How can you tell? The lather comes from the oils in the soap making. There are two oils that are great for producing lather, and that's coconut oil to a large extent, and castor oil that's usually just a smaller amount that's in the bar. So coconut oil is known for making large bubbles, and it just adds that properties to the bar, in addition to it being very moisturizing and very nourishing for your skin. Olive oil is known for making small bubbles. So that's what you get when you add olive oil to the bar as well as small bubbles. So then if you have both, you have both. Palm oil, and these are three oils that are very commonly used together in soap making: coconut, olive, and palm oil. Palm oil adds, again, vitamins and minerals to the bar, but it also adds a stabilizing property to the bar. Not only to the bar itself, so that it's a nice firm bar, but also to the lather. So if you have all three of these in your bar of soap, the coconut, the olive, the palm, you're going to have a good amount of lather, and it's going to be a stable lather, not one that foams up and dies right away. It'll stick around for a while with that stabilizing factor of the palm. Now, these three oils, coconut, olive, and palm, I've heard them referred to as the trinity of soap making. They're just the three that are very good, each individually, but also in combination. They make a really nice bar of soap. Now, if you throw a little castor oil in there as well, that will just amplify that effect even more. Bars made from these oils will have a good amount of stable lather, and they'll perform like you would expect a soap to perform. So you're going to have a good amount of lather, and it's just going to be exactly what you would expect that bar of soap to be. Now, soaps can be made from a variety of oils and things. So I have a challenge for you. If you have a bar of handmade soap at home, go look at the label and check and see, does it have those oils in it? Does it have coconut, olive, or palm? Does it have other things in it? Just check and see what's in that bar and see what's listed in the ingredients and see if your bar is made with this trinity of soap making oils. So let's take a look at the ingredients that are in this bar of soap. In an ingredients list, everything that is in the bar, everything that was used to make it, is listed in this list, but the order is also important. So whatever is at the top of the list, whatever is listed first, that's going to be the ingredient that there is most of in the bar. So in our bar here, olive oil, of all the ingredients, the olive oil has the biggest quantity, and then goat milk, and then palm oil, and then coconut oil, and then the lye, and some other things. But we can tell from this list that in this bar, there's mostly olive oil, and then goat milk, and then the palm oil and the coconut oil. We can also see that it has our trinity of soap oils there, the coconut, the olive, and the palm oil. So this should be a bar that makes a good amount of lather. Now, I will mention here that in handmade soap making, it's not required that people list the ingredients on their soap. They don't have to. But I really prefer bars that do list that, because I want to know. I want to know what's in my bar of soap, but I also feel like it's like a show of trust that they're willing to show me what they put in the bar, so then I know that I can purchase with confidence. So I just prefer to purchase bars when I do that have the ingredients listed on them. Now, other oils that you could use in soap making do not create lather. In fact, some of them are heavy enough that they will actually diminish the amount of lather the bar is able to make. So if you have almond oil or avocado oil or other oils that you wanted to use in your soap making, it's fine. You can do that. But remember, these oils are not going to produce lather, not like the coconut oil and the castor oil. So if you're shopping for a bar and you see a bar of soap that looks great and it has these other oils listed on it, just know before you purchase that this probably isn't going to be a very lathery bar of soap. It needs to have the coconut oil or the castor oil to help create that lather, and then the palm oil to stabilize it all. Any kind of butter that's going to go into a soap is also going to diminish that bar's ability to make lather. So shea butter or cocoa butter or mango butter, I've seen some of all of those in bars before. There are other reasons to add them to the bar. There's certainly nourishing properties and moisturizing properties, but they are going to diminish the bar's ability to create lather. So if you are looking at a particular bar of soap and you see that they have some of these other oils, maybe almond oil or the rice bran oil or something else, and they also have some butters in them, just know that that is not going to be a very lathery bar of soap. You need to have the coconut, of the olive oil, the castor oil to make that lather, if that's what you're looking for in your bar of soap. Now, let's talk about this just a minute from the soap making side. If you are looking at all these different oils and thinking, man, I can't wait to try all of these in my soap, remember that you need to think about, do you have enough oils in your soap that are going to create lather? Because that's what people are expecting. So not that you can't use some of the other oils, but there needs to be a balance there. Also remember, and this is just something to note, that you need to do some research before you start swapping oils in and out of a soap recipe. Every oil requires a different amount of lye to make it into soap. And when you start changing oils, you start changing how much lye is needed. And if you don't keep track of that, there's a chance that you would make a soap that's lye heavy. That means it has too much lye in it, and then that bar would be a little zingy to use. And it's not advisable to do that. So for the moment, while you're beginning your soap making, stick to recipes from people you trust as you're getting started, and don't do any swapping. That's a question for later on. But for right now, make sure that your recipe has the oils in it that are going to help it be a nice lathery bar of soap, both for your expectations and also for your customers. Also, colorants can diminish a bar's ability to lather, specifically white colorant. This is an unscented, uncolored bar of goat milk soap. So you can see that it's kind of a creamy color. And this is the color it normally is. And any milk soap will tend to want to stay that cream color. And kind of the best you can do is to get kind of an off-white color if you want to try to lighten it up and use the white colorant to lighten it up. But if you find a bar of goat milk soap or any milk soap that is pure white, chances are it has a lot of white colorant in it, and this is going to impact that bar's ability to lather. So this is just something to know also about the colorants of soap and how they might impact that bar's ability to perform and to lather. Now, this bar that I showed you before, this does have white colorant. You can see those white designs, but there's not a lot of it, like proportionately to the bar. There's just some kind of swirled in there. So this bar is going to be just fine. That white colorant isn't going to impact its ability to lather very much. But if you found a solid white bar that was very white, you might ask that question, like, is this bar going to be able to overcome that colorant, reducing its ability to lather? Does it have enough oils and other things in it to compensate for that? So that is something to consider as you're shopping for soaps. Think about the colors too, and how might they impact that bar's ability to produce a satisfying lather. One of the things you might notice as you're doing this exploring is that you might find that at a specific shop, the soaps all look very similar when it comes to their ingredients list. And what you're likely finding there is that someone has found a recipe that they really like. They have found an oils combination that serves them well, that gives all their bars a great lather, and there just isn't a lot of reason to do a lot of changing from that. I know at Big Red Barn, we have made a decision very similar to that. 99% of our soaps are almost the exact same recipe because we have found a combination of oils that we really like that serves us well, and the addition of the goat milk into that recipe really provides the moisturizing we need without having to add other ingredients like the shea butter or other things that are going to diminish the lather. So we have a nice lathery bar and we have a lot of moisturizing as well. So once we've found the recipe we like, there just isn't really a lot of reason to change it up. So when we were designing our facial bars, we knew each one of these has activated charcoal in it, and this one also has Dead Sea mud in it. And we knew as we were designing these that the charcoal and the mud would weigh the lather down. These bars would have a harder time creating that lather that people are looking for. So as we were designing this recipe, knowing this would be the case, we added some castor oil to the recipe just to provide a little bit more of that like oil induced lathering to help like counteract the effect of the activated charcoal. And this is a very acceptable way to look at it in soap making. If you know you want to add something that you know is going to diminish the bar's ability to lather, add a little castor oil, add a little something else to help compensate for that effect. And you'll still have a bar that will create a nice lather, even if it's carrying some other additives that kind of weigh it down a little bit. You can make that better by adding these other oils. So what kinds of bars will lather? If you're shopping and you're looking at handmade soaps, how do you know that you're purchasing a soap that will have a satisfactory amount of lather? Or if you're looking to do the soap making and make a recipe, how do you know that this recipe will produce bars that are going to have a good amount of lather or not? And now a disclaimer here is I can't account for every variable here, but in general, these types of bars or recipes should do well. Any recipe or bar that has our trinity in it, coconut oil, olive oil, and palm oil, or maybe a little bit of castor oil. Now the coconut, olive, and palm, those also need to be the main oils in your recipe. They need to be at the top of that ingredients list. The castor oil you can't add, it can't be at the top, you just can't add that much to a recipe. So that'll be down more in the middle to the bottom. But if those three, or if those four are present, probably you're going to have a good lathering soap. Also, pay attention to the coloring of the bar. Is it a light colored or no colored or very little white? Then likely you're going to be fine, especially if it also has these other oils in it as well. Chances are you're going to have a good bar of soap there that's going to produce enough lather for you. Bars to wonder about or recipes to wonder about. If it has oils other than coconut, olive, and palm at the top of the list. Now, there might be other oils in there, and then maybe coconut is still the top one in the list, or olive oil or whatever. There can be other oils in there. But if a different oil is the top one in the list, you can almost suppose that this bar is not going to produce as much lather as the other ones. Any heavy oils or butters in the recipe will also bring down that bar's ability to lather. And meaning, and also if those heavy oils or butters are more toward the top of the ingredients list, that means there's a greater percentage of them in there, and thus the lather diminishing effect is going to be more. Also, if the bar is heavily colored or heavily white, that's a question as well. These are things to wonder about, whether this bar will be able to overcome all of that and still produce a good lather. Another thing to watch for is if any bar has a lot of additives. Those can also weigh down the lather in a bar. So just look for, as you're looking at your bars or looking at your recipes, if you're looking to make the soaps, look for all of these things and just kind of think about, is it going to be enough? Is the bar set up to counteract any lather diminishing ingredients it may include? So this is one of our soaps. This one is a pine tar soap, and you can just tell from the look of it, it has a lot of additives in it. It has pumice and sea salt and activated charcoal and pine tar and oatmeal and I don't even know all what else. There's a lot of, like, this bar has a huge scrubby effect. So now if we turn the label over and look at the ingredients, you will notice, like, let's evaluate this label and see if this soap, like, whether it will lather or not. Let's look here. Look at all the additives that are down at the bottom there. There's the shea butter, the activated charcoal, the kaolin clay, pumice, ground oats, sea salt. So there's a lot of different things in this bar. But look what's right up at the top of the list. At the top of our list is olive oil, and then goat milk, but then also the coconut oil. So there's two of them. And then down in the second line there, also castor oil. So we've got 3 of the 4 oils that are going to help this bar have a satisfactory lather, even though it's got a bunch of other stuff going on in the bar. This bar is still going to make a satisfactory lather. Maybe not as much as some others, because it does have a lot going on in this bar. But there's going to be enough there that it will be a pleasing amount of lather for you and also for your customers. No one likes a bar of soap that doesn't have a decent amount of lather. Customers don't like that. I'm sure you don't like that either. And we want to make sure that the soaps we purchase or the soaps that we make are doing really well in this category. If you get one that doesn't produce the right amount of lather, it's just disappointing. Soap is supposed to be soapy, and if it isn't, it just feels disappointing that way. So I have an assignment for you. If you are out shopping sometime and you find handmade soaps, pick one up and look at the ingredients and just take a minute to evaluate. Do you think this bar has a good chance of having a good amount of lather or not? And just practice a little bit and see what oils are out there, what are people using, and do you think this bar would have a good chance of being a lathery kind of soap? If you really want to check your work and you really want to take it to the next level, purchase the bar and then take it home and see if you were right. When you're done with your assignment, I would love to have you come back to this video and leave me a comment. I would love to know how it went. I would love to hear what you found in your soapy exploring at the shops nearby you. Now, if you're considering this from a soap making side, the same thing applies, but you're going to look at a couple different recipes and evaluate that recipe's ability to create lather. Not every recipe out there is a good one. Not everyone out there is going to be a lathery kind of soap. So just find a couple and see what you think. See, is this soap going to have a good chance of being a nice lathery soap, or does it have some challenges and some ingredients that need to be overcome? If you're looking for a good beginning soap recipe from someone you can trust, from me, you can find a link to that in the comments below. We have our basic, unscented, uncolored goat milk soap recipe there for you if you'd like to check it out and evaluate whether you think it's a lathery soap or not, or if you'd like to give it a try. In our next video, this is going to be a little bit different of a soap making tip. We're going to answer the question, what am I going to do with all these soaps? Once you start down the path of learning to make goat milk soap, it doesn't take very long, and you're going to have quite a number of soaps in your house. And the next question you need to answer is, what are you going to do with all of these soaps? Where's the outlet? How do you handle this? Because you can't just keep packing your house full of soap. And this happens quicker than you think. So join us for our next video where we tackle the question, what am I going to do with all these soaps? Can't wait to see you there.